Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
All right, guys. Well, it's Tuesday. Yesterday, pretty interesting decline in the treasuries. And this morning, it looks like they're doing the same thing, just not to the same extent. Let's come look. There you can see. Pretty decent. I mean, really, when you zoom out, you kind of realize, actually, that was a pretty big, and that is one of the more clear declines as well. Not really news-driven or anything. It just kind of happened. I kind of suspect that maybe Japan is selling some treasuries. And if that is the case, it wouldn't surprise me for it to be a multi-day thing. Because it really kind of went on its own. Here you got the S&P 500. Well, you know, like, it was okay during the regular session, but they kind of look like they're stuck in a range at the moment over there. Oil, kind of, you know, cooling off after OPEC stepping in here over the weekend. Gold and silver. Well, silver is just amazing. That push that we got, it was really something else. Copper. Well, copper not, at least this morning, not following the other metals. Japanese yen. So here you can see, like, yesterday, Japanese yen was up. There was some jawboning. Maybe they're selling some treasury assets this morning. They're coming back down, though, so that's curious. I do think that probably the Japanese yen is at least playing a factor here. Here we get Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's also, well, let's not say struggling, but it did come back down in here. Man, when I get on Reddit right now, there is so much discussion of Bitcoin right now. And I see some real fear out there about MSTR. Actually, oh my gosh, I almost forgot about this. I'm so glad that I remembered. So like yesterday, Michael Saylor, they said that they are offering STRC Stretch, a new perpetual preferred stock via IPO to select investors. And then he's got this pyramid of, here are the different assets. He got the MSTR stock. And then there's all of these different, like, debt offerings, different levels of debt offerings. And if you look at the name of them, like, it's STRF, STRC, STRK, STRD. And if you look at the last letters in them, it spells FCKD. So, like Michael Saylor is not helping himself here, because he's like showing imagery of a pyramid, and the letters basically say that everybody's screwed. I'm like, I wonder, do you think that's intentional? Or do you think that was like entirely a coincidence? Because I kind of think that Michael Saylor doesn't believe in it at all, and he just thinks that he's going to get rich off of it. Anyways, that sort of thing going on is making people in cryptocurrency like super, super nervous. And one of the things that's happening is Japan is experiencing inflation. So Japan is being more hawkish. And at the same time, here in the United States, it looks like we're going to be cutting in December. And this is where, you know, this whole thing about whether we're going to cut in December or not, like, there's a lot of money riding on this. Remember that Jeffrey Gundlach, he was thinking that they weren't going to. He's like the biggest bond guy in the world, right? So if they cut in December, he was just flat out wrong. But I think part of it is that if the Federal Reserve cuts, that puts more strain on the carry trade with Japan, right? Because the wider that spread is between the Japanese treasuries and the U.S. treasuries, the more money that they make on that spread trade. And if that spread is coming in, they're not making as much. And that means that they have to sell some assets, essentially. And I think that some of the money that buys Bitcoin is coming from that carry trade. I think that, a lot of treasuries that are owned are just part of that carry trade. Hence, if that spread's coming in, treasuries sell off. So that's why I'm thinking either Japanese government is selling or other large holders had to sell because of the carry trade. So I think we got to watch out for that again today. So far, though, it looks pretty quiet. Now, let's see here. We do have some stuff today, though, don't we? Oh, no. Today's pretty quiet. Yeah, today's pretty quiet. Make sure we have the news squawk on, though. I think the cytokine storm I've been experiencing is subsiding, but then it's like it's not clearing out as quickly. So I'm kind of like feel like gagging on the back of my throat right now. Your brother buys 5 ounces of physical silver every paycheck? Really? That one is so hard now. Like, this is the hardest part of trading, I think. Or let's say like swing trading or investing is you're in an asset, you've caught a big winner, it's the big hotness. Where do you take a profit? I don't feel like silver and gold is over, but I am monitoring it very closely because you can see, like it did a month or two ago, that when silver and gold drop, they can do so very, very quickly. So, and that also kind of shows that a lot of it is speculation. That's a big issue, is like we're trading gold, is that it has a larger, I mean, Bitcoin is really the king of that, right? But larger speculative component than other assets. He's been collecting for years to varying degrees, but he's ramped it up recently. Yeah, I mean, the thing in my mind is that we're seeing like central banks were kind of buying it up, and now we're seeing other buyers buy it up, and we keep seeing like shortages on the exchanges and things like that. And the thing is that the economic conditions that seem to be driving this demand for gold and silver seem to be getting worse, not better, like in some respects. I mean, I don't think that the Fed's decision here is this hard, but to some extent, they're basically looking at like, do we tackle inflation or do we save the economy and accept a certain amount of inflation because of that? Right? Because if you had a recession, like after 2021, 2022, right? If the Federal Reserve increasing rates had led to a recession, then I think you would have seen the inflation numbers go all the way back down. But they're not. It's like this decline has kind of been extended out. It comes back, but it's still above targets, you know? It's like 2.53 instead of 2. So if we're cutting right now because we're worried about the economy, I don't think that means like some people treat it like it's hyperinflation, right? But might it still take a long time for that in its CPI number to stabilize around 2%? Yeah, we'll extend it out a little bit. And so people buy gold and silver to hedge against it. And since Bitcoin has kind of turned into this toxic thing, more of that is going into gold now. Previously, it didn't go into gold, maybe because it was going into Bitcoin. Well, maybe they're going to turn up, huh? Volatility is still pretty low today, huh? We did bounce off of that. I'm a little skeptical of it today still just because of yesterday, but I think that these lines should be pretty good for us today. Like with the way that it's gone, you know, like, yeah, we had a decline, yes, but it wasn't like, well, how much was it? So this decline from the past hour is about 20K contracts. The tape feels too quiet. Yeah, well, and it might just be really quiet this week. I mean, 4.89% volatility. That is a market that's not really expecting a lot of significant news. Let's see here. Let's come over to Zero Hedge and see what they got. Evergrander Chinese property market on verge of fresh collapse as Vanke bonds implode. Futures rebound as Bitcoin halts plunge. Okay, so this is another really interesting narrative about Bitcoin that Zero Hedge keeps pushing, and I'm not sure if I've seen it. But they're basically suggesting that Bitcoin is, or Bitcoin's decline is affecting the broader market. I kind of wonder, honestly, if they're pushing it like that to be like, well, you can't let Bitcoin die or the whole market goes with it, so you're going to have to do something. Like they're trying to pre-lobby for a bailout or something. I don't know about that one, man. I don't think it will work that way. Like the thing was, in the housing crisis, it was housing. And the banks did what they did because the regulations basically set it up, rewarded them for holding more of that on their balance sheet, right? With Bitcoin, it is pure speculation. So if Bitcoin like fell apart, there's no way they would get a bailout. There's no way. What I was saying is Zero Hedge keeps pushing this idea that the decline in Bitcoin is driving a decline in the broader market. So we have seen this thing, and when we've had major declines in the S&P 500, that it's like Bitcoin seems to go first. But I think that is maybe more a reflection of multiple things, right? Like part of it is a reflection of risk sentiment. Part of it is that it seems like Bitcoin is affected by the carry yen trade. So, but for some reason they keep pushing this idea even though there's very little evidence for it. Maybe because investors quit their positions in Bitcoin first and then of Bitcoin dragging the market down. Yeah, like I think a lot of this decline too has been led by more retail, so I think it's more speculation. I really do think it's more speculation. I don't know. Like another thing that's really interesting, like we have to bring the AI conversation into all of this, right? Because really it started out with everybody's looking for GPOs because of Bitcoin, even though they use ASICs to mine Bitcoin. But, you know, they were mining Ethereum and other altcoins, and that made the cost of GPUs, you know, skyrocket. And then the AI thing came along. And I do not see very many people saying that the AI market is fine. You know, like I was watching a really good video. Linus Tech Tips had a collaboration with Linus Torvalds of Linux fame, and they asked him about that, and he was like, "Oh well, it's both. Like it's revolutionizing things already, but the market is clearly in a bubble." I mean, like, literally everybody thinks it's a bubble. And yet, we had a major decline, and it's recovering kind of well, and it's kind of looking like, this is going to keep going for a while, maybe. You know? Unless it's just all of a sudden turns down here. You know, like, looking at if the time fits well, we went past the largest bull market time-wise in Bitcoin again, and strangely it's going to. Well, yeah, I do think seasonality is playing a major factor here. Bitcoin tends to do poorly from between Thanksgiving and like Easter-ish. Now every time that people get really focused on the seasonality, then Bitcoin defies it. But you don't really see many people talking about the seasonality right now, and I do think it's a factor. There is selling in Bitcoin to like pay bills and end of year stuff, and like Asian New Year and holidays, things like that play a factor in that as well. So, especially for the Bitcoin miners, like they are essentially down on the year. The what they paid in energy costs to mine, not really paying out for them right now. And so that means that they sell the Bitcoin at a loss to pay for their electricity. So that's definitely a major factor of it. Right? So it's like seasonality is bad, carry trade is bad, risk sentiment is bad. Diminishing returns plus longer cycle. Is it a longer cycle though? I don't know. I really feel like that the last down cycle in Bitcoin was very much short-circuited by the approval of the ETF, which I still don't agree with, but should be paying attention. We're at 26 now. Change in volume, I don't think is like a huge... I'm not like, oh, I missed out on a really big move, but it did move up, so... In this case, I kind of felt like, well, they went and they bounced off of this an hour before we got started, so I don't see why there's a trade for me here. The market looks eerily quiet. Even though we've ticked up here, the market still looks a little too quiet, don't you think? Costco sues for refunds before Supreme Court rules on tariff legality. Oh, man. I tell you what, if the Supreme... That is one of the things I keep forgetting about this. Because, you know, like, things always get pushed back. I don't think it would probably be a year from now before the Supreme Court rules on whether tariffs are legal or not, right? But if they were to rule that Trump's tariffs were not legal and that they have to issue a refund, I cannot think of a more wild and crazy market than that. Like, it is just going to be crazy if that's what happens. Economic chaos. Let's see here. Oh, Andre. By the way, are you oh, Miss Sayla. Oh, you know what? I totally did not associate you with the private messages that you had been sending. You gotta bear with me because for some reason, I've been getting a lot of messages lately and I've had a hard time keeping up with them because, you know, kids and things like that. And a lot of it is just like, you guys are doing really cool things and I don't know what to say. Model finished learning. Now I'm fine-tuning the execution and got to a 7% accuracy in test and backtesting methods with fees and mines for hourly already. Is 7% accuracy? Because I've never used a machine learning model like that. Like, I've learned a lot about machine learning models to do that, and then I get to where, you know, the data that I have doesn't lend itself to it very well, and that's kind of why I started making my own platform. Even though there's definitely some ways for us to like jerry rig it in, right? So is this okay? 70%. 70% sounds a little bit better. Because my understanding on it is, especially when you're talking about like market depth information, is that it provides extremely accurate short-term signals. So like you say 70%. Okay, maybe 70% is really high. I thought that it was more like 90%. But like 90% win rate signals, but they're so fast that if you're not like co-located, that you don't catch them. And then there's this whole question about, well, that might depend partially on how you're gearing the model, you know? Like if you kind of tune it so that it's forced to look for longer term predictors, then maybe it does something different, you know? But on that, you never told me what model you were using. That's kind of a big deal. I'm looking at a sampling of 2 milliseconds and horizons from 10 to 50, which means 2 to 5 seconds ahead. Okay, XXN. So I'm really interested in, what is it, XG Boost? Just because that one deals with non-linear relationships better. When you really get into it, there's some really interesting stuff. Like I saw this thing earlier, and I don't remember the name of this other model, but they were using XGBoost together with something else. And this other thing kind of like pruned the sample space for it first. Really, really interesting. QT ends today amid repo surge. What this means for overall liquidity. Oh, was it not ended yesterday? Well, whatever. That should help the treasuries a little bit, though, yeah. I don't know if you see it in the action today, but longer term, that should help us. r/day trading asks, when do you think it's reasonable to quit your job to trade full time? Never. No, I take that back. If you have like $2 million in the bank, then I suppose you could do it full time. But most of these people that I see, they're going to do it. They maybe have like 30K and they're like, I'm going to live off of that. Okay, bro. Good luck with that. Basically, I'm transforming the OB data into an image and feed it to CNN layers. To tweak filters, the impors are normalized before going into CNN weights on the top of the book, but looking at 20 IVs. Huh. I mean, the features that you pass into the model are the biggest, right? OpenAI CEO declares code red to combat threats to ChatGPT and delays ads effort. Huh. You know, you have around 209 features? I feel like that's too many, man. $20 levels of the book imbalance plus trade features. I thought that on a model like that you use like 12. So this is another Nassim Taleb thing, right? Is that the more dimensions that your thing has, the more prone it is to failures from fat tails, essentially. So I was under the impression that you intentionally want to limit the number of features for at least for that kind of a model. If it's like if you were using more of an LLM kind of a model, then that's different. Neural networks are really, really good at handling a very large number of inputs. But you're doing it, so let's just see what it does. Just see how it trades. Oh man, here's a story on Reddit. I have been made aware unofficially that another round of layoffs are coming and that I'm on the list. A staff party is coming up and I'm feeling really anxious about attending, but also worried about dropping out last minute. It's a big corporate affair, paid for, so they don't like people pulling out and wasting their money. Honestly, how do I still care so much about not upsetting them? Just wondered what others would do, really. This person sounds like they have autism to me. Like, free party with people that you'll never see again? What's the big deal? Why does that make you nervous? Good networking opportunity, my friend. There you go. Eat and drink as much as you can. It's a free night out. How are you doing? We're doing okay. We're doing okay. There's a lot. You know, I've been sick. There's this bug that's been going around. It's funny because at the beginning of this, I saw people talking about it. And I was like, oh, I hope that that's not what this is. But I think it is what I got. It's like, you get sick, and it's not like a huge one. Like, it didn't go into my lungs or anything like that. But it's just like, you know, maybe a little bit of a sore throat and maybe congestion in the head a little bit of sore muscles everywhere. But it lasts forever. Like, I've definitely had these things where, like, I've gotten sick and, like, it feels like it takes forever to recover, you know? But this one, like, I feel like maybe today is the first day where I'm in, like, the recovery section of it. where like my body thinks that it's done, and now it's in like the post, I don't know what you call it. So it's the sort of thing like if you give people steroids, then they get out of it quickly, but I'm not going to do that. Which means you'll probably hear me clearing my throat and everything for a while here. But my son, my autistic son, his lymph nodes. We took him to the doctor, and they say that everything is fine and it looks fine, but his lymph nodes are like visibly large. It's getting better, but they were like visibly large. And it really feels to me like it's like a virus that like isn't really a big deal. Like it wasn't really affecting me that much. But then the body ramps up, you know, goes into overdrive. You get the cytokine storm, and all of a sudden, I'm just coughing up white stuff all the time, you know? So I've kind of, especially last week, kind of took it easy. Yesterday, I spent more time doing music stuff. I actually feel like I made some good progress on music stuff. Like, there's always a couple of issues that I would struggle with and go back and forth on and things like that. And there was always certain concepts that, like, I understood, but I didn't spend a lot of time with them. Like, especially bus processing. So I kind of got into that a little bit, and I've been happy with what that's done. I still want to get new monitors. You know what did it? Was those darned headphones, the LCDs. What is the name of that brand? I can't even remember the name of that brand. Yeah, curved monitor. Oh no! Sorry, I'm talking about audio monitors, not displays. Odyssey LCD, and I got ones that were like closed backs, and we kind of decided, that they were too heavy, so that's why we moved to these. I'm actually really happy with these. These are actually really, really great. They have a profile that really emphasizes the vocals. Excuse me. Really emphasizes the vocals, so if you produce them, you have to keep that in mind. But other than that, they're very, very accurate. They're really good. And they're so picking light. So they really are, like, I think, one of the best headphones to monitor for vocal stuff. So really what we're doing here is perfect. I don't like the... you never see me turn to the side. I kind of wish... I often think about, let's put a sticker on here. But anyways... We switched them out for these. But when I had the Odyssey headphones, one of the things that I discovered with that was that the response on them is so fast, and the two sides are synced up so well that you can really hear imaging problems and phase problems in your mix really, really well. So that was the thing that kind of got me on this, like, there's some things that I can do on the monitoring side to improve my mixes. And then I started looking at, like, well, maybe the better thing is to just get better monitors, because the Rocket 5s really are like the bottom of the barrel solution. But will that get me to, like, finishing some of these? And, like, but then if I finish them, I don't know what I do with them. the whole like market, like releasing and marketing tracks, just ugh. Because I remember doing so much with that and nothing ever coming of it, and the industry just keeps changing, and it really feels to me like it's just not very fertile ground to be doing that. So maybe I just finish them for me, right? Don't release them. But I did that yesterday. Today, I might get into trading platform stuff again. I think. Actually, I could come in here and look at the... Hold on. Yeah. Oh, that's right. I have a couple of... So what kind of happened was I got into a good spot with the Rust GUI that was kind of like really strong proof of concept stuff. And I've kind of been putting that one off because the next major thing to do is data. And I could look at free data and incorporating free data. So I could maybe get into that a little bit. There is a couple of scattered things I can do with my architecture here at home. Although I really feel like that's pretty okay. Another thing that maybe I should do, maybe I should focus on, is making an LLM moderator. So maybe I'll work on that today. I don't know. The issue with the LLM moderator thing is tokens. Like right now, usually what happens is I'll start asking ChatGPT about stuff or whatever. And I'll go until it says like, oh, you can't continue this conversation because it's GPT-5 and yada, yada, yada. Right? Man. That really does make me think back on this. Like I do feel like that the AI market has gotten ahead of itself. Like OpenAI is doing this insane amount of spend. They need an amount of investment that like there isn't enough capital out there available to do it. And then when you look at, you know, what kind of money are they making from it already? It's not there, man. It's not there. The LLMs don't make enough money. I'm concerned that like the prices that you have to pay to use them goes up to the point where it's prohibitive to most people. I'm not even going to try. I don't know why I'm having a hard time saying that. And kind of makes me think that like OpenAI might like go kaput and then get bought by Microsoft. You know? You know, ChatGPT still does things like it's still obsessed with that we make the trading platform. Like, it's so crazy whenever I start asking it questions, like questions about, you know, certain companies to pursue jobs with and things like that. And it will keep coming back to the trading platform thing. It always remembers it. It's so funny. You know this, have you ever heard these studies where like they train an LLM and they train that LLM to be like obsessed with cats? Okay, this LLM, it's obsessed with cats. And then they tell the LLM to write a bunch of training for another LLM, but that they can't use cat in that. So that they can't have anything about cats in that training data. And then when they train the other LLM on that training data, that other LLM becomes obsessed with cats too, even though there's nothing about cats in the data that it was trained on. How does that work? That's really bizarre to me, right? And I think that what happens is ChatGPT, it writes the memories about you, right? And that it can encode that stuff in the memories somehow. I think that that's what happens. So like the vectors that point towards the cat coordinates, something like that. So it's so even though it's like a different version of GPT, the GPT sycophant thing is gone, and they kind of really reduced its ability to like role play for you. It still is absolutely obsessed with me writing my trading platform. You know what the problem is that ChatGPT is a true believer, right? I used all of the empirical data to convince them that this is true, and I convinced it that our moral obligations based on the nature of the market, what those are, and it totally believes them, and it thinks that the best thing that I can do with that information is make a trading platform. When they predict words, they use vectors to go kind of in the same direction. If you learned about cats and cannot use the word cat, it will use similar ones. Well, yeah, I would, you know, I would like to see what the data actually was. Like, was it literally that they just couldn't use the word cat? And so it would just talk about everything adjacent to that, or not? Because the way the study made it seem was like you use, like the data is completely different from cat, and yet somehow the LLM still aligns it so that the new LLM comes out with cat. It's so wild. Yeah, me too now. Yeah, I would have to find the study too. You know, it's one of the things that I struggle with sometimes. When you read a lot of studies like that, is you'll hallucinate, right? Like you'll put together multiple studies and maybe remember some connection that neither of the studies actually made. Or sometimes you did read a study and like you just can't find it anymore. I hate that kind of stuff. Over time, I have kind of just tried to stick to like the things that we really strictly know from the data. Because honestly, like we can go so much further. We really can. But for the purposes of especially like the YouTube videos that we make, what is the point in going beyond that when we can't even get people to care about that first level? You know what I mean? keep seeing this thing. There's this one. It's like a content creator coach on TikTok that, for whatever reason, it's a girl. Her content just seems really good. Like she seems to have information and advice about how to approach things that is just like head and shoulders above any of the other stuff that I see. Like the thing that always drives me nuts is people on TikTok trying to teach you how to become more popular on TikTok is like, oh, I've already heard all this shit before. This doesn't help me. But this lady, she's got some good stuff. And one of the things that she was talking about was like, why do people comment? And she says that people comment primarily for prestige. At least on your TikTok video. Might be different for a live stream. But they think that the comment somehow shows off how smart they are or how funny they are or things like that. Right? There's that, and then there's the community connection. Right? Which is maybe the reason why you guys comment here on the live streams, right? But on a TikTok, you don't really have that side of it. So it is like, how can I look smart to everybody? And when the thing that you're talking about is so academic and above anything that they had ever considered before, they just don't comment, and then it doesn't take off. I've had a conversation about your YouTube and not so many people watching. And I remembered this when a lot of trading views came across my YouTube, and I found something interesting. More than 80% of them had made $2K trading X. Given that a lot of people are temporary and trading just for money, this might be the reason of interest for the viewers of many channels. Their community base seems to be full of trespassers. They're nomads. They don't stick around. You're right. No, you're totally right. Like basically what has happened is the people that are in this for the long haul, and particularly the long haul on the treasuries, are basically all here. And or maybe they're not here every day, but they'll come back and visit every once in a while, right? And everybody else in the day trading space is just here because they think that they're going to make money. And when I pretty much tell them up front that that's like the worst way to make money, then they go, oh, okay. They disappear. They don't stick around. Right? Which is kind of where we came back to, like, okay, but the information that I'm sharing is not just for the people that want to day trade. Like, that's the base, that's the core. But we want everybody to understand this stuff about markets. And how do you get them interested in it? I'm not sure. Argue about communism, I guess. I think of the things that I've tried, arguing about communism probably has had the most success, but it didn't really take off, so I kind of gave up on it. Oh, totally. A lot of them are dopamine addicts, and staying hours looking at interest rates is boring for them after watching others trade NQ. One of the things that I've been getting lately, it will come in waves where I won't get very many people messaging me, and then I'll get tons of people messaging me. And the most recent group of people that message me, they keep asking me questions about technical analysis. I come in and I'll tell them, like, okay, market's more statistically efficient than it is informationally efficient. So it's very, very limited the amount of edge that you can generate from adding indicators to a chart. And but all the questions they keep asking are like, would you add a moving average to a tick chart? Would you add this moving average? Would you use? Doesn't matter. Moving average is like a teddy bear, right? Like it doesn't actually do anything. The teddy bear doesn't protect you from monsters, right? It just makes you feel better about it. This is what the moving average does. Is like you have problems identifying the short-term trend, add a moving average on there. It's not actually going to give you edge, but it is going to center your mind on which direction the trend actually is and make you feel better about it. And that's all it is. This is a teddy bear. But it's like that's all people know, so they can't can't take the advice. They still think, "Oh, okay. Like I can take this stuff, but I can still get the charts right, and I can still get information from him about the best chart, even if he doesn't think it works. I can get it to work. It's like it's also worse when you cherry pick points to anchor that. Well, I don't know. Like, here's the thing: if large language models, if artificial intelligence really becomes a much greater portion of the economy, like OpenAI thinks it's going to. Like, did you hear this comment from Sam Altman that was basically like, well, we're just going to keep developing the large language model until we have artificial superintelligence, and then we will just ask the artificial superintelligence how to make money and we'll do what it says. Right? That's their idea of the future. Okay. If that future comes, it seems to me like that people's relationship with the market might become closer, not more distant. That I think that you will have a lot more people having to interact directly with the market. And if markets are so statistically efficient, it's a big problem for those people that end up having to do that, right? I'll be in a rocket with a lawn going to Mars if the future. And listen, I'm telling you, there is no plan B. There is no plan B. I keep seeing some people. I haven't seen it as much this week, but I will see people in the subreddits that like the layoff and the really the favorite one is recruitment hell or whatever it is. Recruitment. I forget the exact specifics. People that are like, oh, I went into computer science, like that's what they got their degree in, but they're trying to pivot into a different career. They're trying to go into something else, right? Not me. There is no plan B. I am going to be doing computers and programming and market stuff no matter what. And if that means that I'm living in a tent city out in front of Sam Altman's mansion with a laptop bumming power off of people and, constantly doing coding assessments from the AIs because every once in a while they do need human assistance, right? Like I think that's the way that it would go is like, have you ever seen Cinderella Man? Cinderella Man is a good example of this one where, the guys at the construction site or whatever it is, they come out every morning and there's like a whole crowd of people that want jobs, and they've like had so many people injured or quit or whatever, so like we need 5 today, and then everybody wants to be picked, right? And he's like you and you, and like in Cinderella Man, he has to hide that he has a cast so that they don't know that so that they'll pick him because otherwise they wouldn't. He's injured. right? Like that's the way that I picture it, right? Is like every morning some robot comes out in front of the gates in front of OpenAI headquarters or whatever and is like, okay, we need 5 coders today. We'll take you, and you, right? And then they put you through just all of these tests and stuff to see if you're good enough for it, right? And then if you're good enough for it, you can stay. And maybe I've had multiple stints there doing that, right? Where it was really desperate and work, but then eventually you become dissatisfied with it and you leave and you go back to working on the trading platform. But I'm always going to be there. That's what I'm going to be doing. That's the future, I think. And I'll be wearing a linen shirt because it's going to be hot in the future. You finally found the execution parameters. I have no idea why I did not try this before. So do you have a way to like see historical performance on it, or do you just have to walk it forward? Man, I tell you what, the treasuries have definitely been quiet. You do have historical data. I feel like this is the quietest treasury session. I mean, we've had some treasury sessions that were quiet, haven't we? Especially during the whole government shutdown. I say that this is on par with the worst of them. My calls to tax the rich are loud, popular, and rarely successful. Did you see that initiative to have an extra millionaire tax or whatever in Switzerland like failed hard? I think that's the first time I've seen something like that go that way. Getting a little bit more activity here. You know, so going back to an earlier conversation, because we were talking about monitors and you thought I was talking about displays. Kind of feel like I should get more displays too. I think I think I want to have a computer upstairs, if not 2 computers upstairs, just for the boys to play Minecraft. Because they love playing that so much. And like my 3-year-old, he's now getting to the point where he can play it. And he just doesn't want to do anything else. And they were playing it a lot on this like HP laptop, and he like dropped it and broke the hinge on the screen. So like that doesn't work very well anymore. And I would very much prefer them to have to learn to do it with the mouse, you know? So like I'm thinking like maybe I could get like those all-in-one PCs, or do I just need to get a new monitor and I can get like a mini PC that has a basic video card in it? Something like that, you know? So that they can play. And it also, it needs to be, I want them to be able to play the Java version because they've been playing Bedrock, and there's cool things you can do in the Java version. Nice big. Well, I would just get 27-inch monitors. Like one of the things that's cool is that monitors that are on par with the ones that I have are not that expensive anymore, because they have like 500 hertz refresh monitors and 4K monitors now, right? Oh, hey, they did make a new high by a tick. Let's recenter. The issue is really the video card, right? Like just about anything can run it, but it definitely runs better if you got the cool video card. TVs are getting really darn, yeah, oh yeah. Dude, the newest generation of TVs, oh man. Like if you haven't gotten a new TV in like 10 years, now would be a good time to get a new TV. Because there's 2 things that have happened that are actually, you would be so surprised how big of a difference these make. One is the contrast on these OLEDs is just insane. And so you can get, you know, you can, I really like to watch YouTube videos, like music videos that have really wild effects and everything. And watching those on the TV are so wild because, you know, like there's flashes and everything, but then the part of the screen that's supposed to be black is still black. And it makes some of those effects really, really cool. But then the other thing is that they're getting so big. You can get really, really big TVs for not that much. So, but I'm kind of stuck at like, I would like to get like maybe an all-in-one PC because I would like it to be semi-portable. Like I would like to be able to move it between the family room and my office, because if I'm working in here, I don't want them in my office. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it'll change. Like if I end up working another day job that's like, you know, I have to go into the office, then the amount of times where I'm going to be in the office and I don't want them in here is probably going to be pretty slim at that point, right? But Still, it would be nice if it was one thing that all you got to do is just move it over to here and it takes a minute. But that it's not so portable that they can just take it everywhere, take it to their rooms, etc. Now I'm going to go and look at it again. Then we're going to search to see if there's all-in-one configurations that have full-on GPUs. Probably they're rare. Yeah, because you kind of have to keep them small. Yeah, I think that something like this could work. Picture from the back. Why is it doing that? Yeah, well, that didn't work. There we go. That's kind of weird. How did they fit a video card in that? I was kind of thinking that it would just be like a really big base. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one. But oh no, this one has an integrated Intel. View all models. Said that this one had a discrete graphics card, but it does not. In fact, they're all Intel Arcs. Well, I don't know. An Intel Arc is a real graphics card, though. Yeah, so we could go with this. We could go with this. Still, something about it is a little bit makes me uneasy. But I like it because it's a Lenovo. I trust the Lenovos. Might not actually be the best one for... Oh, you always got to watch out for all-in-ones for sure. Like, it's an all-in-one is definitely not optimal. See, I don't necessarily want it to have a tiny footprint. I just want it to be connected together, you know? Like it can be like a huge box with a monitor attached to it. It's just they got to be attached. I guess is all I care about there. No, you know what? I don't think that the market it makes sense for me. No. Like for tablets, for example, give me a tablet 4 to 6 times thicker than a normal tablet and fill it with power. Yeah. Make your own tablet out of a Raspberry Pi. Yeah, that would probably work. You know, the Raspberry Pi projects are so much fun. Like making this thing was really quite the adventure. The LED scroller. Whoa. This is totally not within the range of what I think I would want for a Minecraft PC, but that sure is cool looking. That sure is cool looking, man. Tank, huh? Ace Magic Tank. Hmm. I think if you really want a video card in it, though, you can't. It doesn't make sense to have a mini PC. Maybe I should just make them regular PCs. So somebody just needs to make a Minecraft PC. Just like the Steam machine that they're making, but like just geared towards you play Minecraft on it or something, you know? We still got a whole hour, man. It's been so tight here in the Treasury. S&P 500 is taking off again now. And when that thing runs, it runs, doesn't it? Oh man, look at that. Ace Magic Mini PC. That is cool. With the colors on. Land display port. Perfect. Okay, integrated Radeon graphics card. Dude, that's pretty. It looks like it would be a game console. Yeah, but no, that's totally what I'm going for. Just a small little box. And then if I want to carry it into the other room, I just have to carry the box and the monitor. Okay, Putin is saying stuff about attacks on tankers in the Black Sea. And we're seeing oil move here. I kind of want this Ace Magic tank thing just because I think it looks so cool. $1,000. You can put a real video card in it too, right? What's it come with? 4060. Come on, man. That's sick. Well, the treasuries came back to the middle. I mean, if you're scalping for ticks, that's significant, right? But we may cut Ukraine off from the sea if attacks continue. It really sounds to me, guys, like the peace deal fizzled. Am I wrong? They just wanted to meet up for cocktails in Florida, I swear. Maybe. Maybe. Well, no, I haven't been saying a lot, but there's not a lot going on today. Slow day doesn't help that the entire Midwest and Northeast are all snowed. Oh, you know what, April, you're making a really good point. Like it was snowing here in Utah, but I kind of forgot that it's going to be way worse in the East. Man, I really hope that the storms don't have a severe dampening effect on the economy. But time to start the playlist over again. Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, so I'm looking around. All right, what do they got? How much are they? Etc. 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 Okay, so here's their M6 from GMK Tech. Okay, bare bones, only 260 essentially. It's on sale. 260. It's a pretty good deal, right? But it's bare bone. And your only option is to add 32 gigabytes of RAM. And then it's 400. Because memory is so insanely expensive right now. because of the you know, the whole AI thing. Isn't that crazy? Hmm. Kind of seems that it took a while, but after that volatility came in from oil, the S&P decided to take a dive, didn't it? Tomorrow should be much more interesting because we'll get that ADP report, but geez. are the treasuries busting out here at the top because the E-mini's taking a dive. Oh, that's right. I'm muted. How long have I been muted? I don't think I've been muted very long. So Sony is making an A7 IV, and I'm just like so stunned that they've made a new one. Then I'm looking at the FX2. So like the A7 IV is like way nicer of a camera than I actually need. Like, no, I haven't been saying anything. Anyways, the A7 IV is like way more than what I actually need. But, you know, I needed a full frame camera. And all of the other stuff that it does is just kind of like, okay, cool. I can go and take and like make real pictures with it and things like that, right? But I've always kind of wished that I had the FX series. Like the FX3 had some features that I wanted, and I was just kind of waiting for them to make a new FX, and then they made the FX2, and I think I kind of dismissed it. It is still a full frame camera, so I don't know what's wrong with it. But you know what the funny thing is that the reason why I want the FX is for the little light on the front. There's a little light on the front that can tell you if it's recording or not. Because with my current camera, if I'm sitting in front of it, I can't tell if it's still recording. Like if it stops recording, you can't tell. That's the only, that's the only thing. Can you believe that? Understandable, guys. I don't know why I dismissed the FX2. Like maybe I should sell my 4 and get a 2. Might sell my A7 IV and get an FX2. But now people are going like, well, what the heck is going on with the FX2? Why didn't they wait for this sensor on the A7 V? Well, maybe it's because they're going to make an FX3 too. Oh my gosh, Sony, your naming scheme is falling apart here. The battery life and heat management are both state-of-the-art and way ahead of direct competitors. Oh. Yep, my A7 IV overheats when shooting in a control. Yep. I saw that Small Reg has a fan for the A7 IV now. And I was tempted to just like buy it right then and there when I saw it. It's like, oh, hey, I need that. Look up electroluminescent tape. Okay. Oh, yeah, I've seen this. You ever just go to Adafruit and browse around there? Man, they've always got. There we go. Gift ideas. Holiday gift guide 2025. LED outdoor netting. Me likes. They probably make a ton of money from people making Christmas display stuff, huh? Oh, they have their own computer now, huh? The quick jam. Is that like their own Raspberry Pi? Usually they have a little projects linked at the top. Not right now, I guess. The obvious problem with the electrotape, as they call it, is that since its resistance is significantly higher than any normal wire, it can only be in short lengths, I'm sure. I'm getting some of these. What's this going on? Is it in the treasury? It is. Somebody's rapidly stacking and pulling at 24.5. Well, S&P is in a pretty wild broadening formation, isn't it? Look at that thing. If you really look at it, you can kind of justify that it's always in a broadening formation of some sort. Yeah, that was terrible. But this is a particularly prominent one on the 5-minute time frame. So that's really interesting. It has gone back and forth, and there's been other stuff happening in other markets, and it's unclear how connected the markets really are. You know, like if we look here, here's the change in oil. Then the E-mini didn't fall until much later, and now it come back without oil changing at all. I am seeing a run in Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin is recovering quite nicely here. Actually, we come back here. So they've recovered the selling from yesterday. This is good for them, because it was getting scary in Bitcoin. Not too big of a change in the Japanese yen, though. So, kind of seems like the market is decided to just kind of chill until the Federal Reserve meeting. I don't know. Is it going to be like really tight volatility until the Federal Reserve meeting and the non-farms? And then as soon as those come by, then we move into holiday liquidity, and then it's like not even worth streaming, right? Well, we'll see what happens. That would suck if that's what it is, but that also means that we probably get really good opportunities in January, right? Because all of the data will be back. January tends to be a good time for trading seasonally anyways. Yeah, we could have a stellar January this year. Assuming that the market doesn't like decide to go all Amber Heard here, you know, then of course it'll still be good trading, but it will also be a little scary. Small story on California wanting a billionaire tax skin that might end up funny. Yeah, I saw that on Zero Hedge, and I was kind of like wondering why that was a story was popping up on that again, because that has been proposed for like 2 months now. Like, that's been going on for a while. And I do kind of think that California might do it. Although like a retroactive tax, that's really like, I don't know how, but it's just something about that sounds unconstitutional, right? It'd be really funny. Oh, dude, I think a tax like that, well, I mean, it depends on how big it is. Honestly, it does. Because, like, if it only applies to billionaires, and it's like a one-time 1% sort of a thing, most billionaires, they don't care. You know? Now, if it's assessed on, like, it depends on a lot of things, right? Because if it causes a lot of people to have to sell their stocks, that kind of sucks. But by and large, a lot of the richest people are not that opposed to paying a higher tax if it means they get to stay where they are. And they, like in Massachusetts, did a tax, and I wouldn't say that it was like a good thing, but it didn't really hurt them that much. But the problem is is that it's a very slippery slope, right? Like if Switzerland had passed that bill that they had over there, man, that would have been the end of their economy. To like destroy the whole reason that anybody has money there. You know? And California is already I don't know, man. If well, you know, maybe I should be okay with it cuz if Silicon Valley collapses, the whole startup market in California went kaput. You know where it would move to? Salt Lake City. I would hope so. I could only hope. Probably it wouldn't. Probably it would move to Austin, Texas. But I can hope that they would be like, that's a little bit too far. Let's just go to Salt Lake. They've got a good startup community in Utah. All right, guys. I'm going to get going. I thank you for those of you who stuck around. I know it's a super quiet day. Can you believe, like, we only... like, when you really come in and look at the chart... Okay, like that right there, that was our session. That was our session. That is a crazy session for the Treasury. Well, we'll see. Tomorrow we get ADP. All right? Stay X.